I do not know what is scarier, the Joker or Cordyceps. If you don't know what I'm talking about right now, by the end of this episode, you absolutely will. It's everybody's goal in this room today to make me puke, apparently. So good morning.
Save that for the air.
Yeah.
Roxy reacts to Cordyceps.
Because Dan made me watch a whole video on it.
Make you?
Well, it was
you were
next to
curious,
me, and I don't know how to look away from things, Dan. And we've been doing this for 5 years, so you know that.
To be fair, he did hold your eyes open while he was doing it. You will watch it.
That's what I'm saying right now. The only person in the room who currently has my back, she also has a Tuesday, Thursday residency right at this table. It's Riley Silverman in the house.
Hey.
Oh, I like
Resident
just,
jazz musician.
Yeah.
I like just the casual wave.
I'm the queen.
Well, we're bringing it down. I still feel so sick. Oh my God.
Is it the more formal wave?
Yeah, Spenny in the house. Spencer
now.
Gilbert.
Yeah, what's up, Rox?
I mean, I've been better. I've been better. I don't
Like
know.
5 minutes ago, you were better.
Yeah, well, I don't know how you guys aren't freaking out as much as I
Traumatized you.
am.
I'm sorry.
We all saw this when Planet Earth came out in like 2005. It was horrifying then. Now it's just fun.
Spencer, did you watch How I Met Your Mother? Because I was eating a lot of
Seen a few.
sandwiches before I watched that, as they refer to it on that show. Dan Murrell, the person who agrees with me on everything on the planet.
100% agree ratio.
Yeah, very, very true. So we definitely are going to be talking about the Cordyceps. Still a word I don't know if I'm pronouncing right, but that's what we'll stick with for now. But we're going to start with some DC talk. And of course, it's not Fan Friday, but I'm here, so we're going to do a little bit of fan questions towards the end.
Cool.
Nice.
I'm already making you giggle.
DC Talk was a Christian band when I was growing up.
Oh, yeah,
so
you're right.
I
Really?
just imagined mid to late 90s.
Just a bunch of Jesus
faith-based
freaks
rock
over
and roll.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like-
I am so glad because I thought you were
Christian
still.
hip-hop.
It sounded like you were laughing at my pain still.
No,
You
just
can
a
laugh
little
at
Christian
the
rock.
Christian
I
rock
actually
song.
went to a Christian music festival in 8th grade, and
yeah.
DC Talk was the headliner. It was DC Talk and Audio Adrenaline. Those were the big.
No jars of clay? I
they
mean,
were there.
Are you even rocking
they
for
weren't,
Jesus?
They weren't headlining. They were on the lower card.
Okay.
Quick side story, got my car used, am a Jewish girl, did not realize what the presets were on there for the last, 7 years. I've been listening to Christian rock every single day, not knowing I was listening to Christian rock. This past year, I figured it out. Have not changed the station. Love Christian rock.
This girl's boyfriend really lifts her up. It's pretty great.
Reach.
Oh, that's really what I was thinking. I was like, wow, they all love each other so much.
They're all
It's a
love
cool
songs.
vibe. Yeah. They're very
It's about
cool.
one dude.
It's about power and yeah, but that's cool. Men loving men, women loving men. It's all Jesus. Anyway, and Jesus was a Jew. Full circle. Let's talk about DC. DC talk, but the different kind. So this morning it was officially announced that Andy Muschietti's next project will be The Flash. You guys know him from It, and I think people have been excited about this. There were rumors about it maybe a month ago. It started circulating as The Flash has gone through a ton of other creative teams. I believe this is the third full creative new team, but fifth partial new creative team. So just starting with this bit of news, are you guys excited to have Andy on board for The Flash? And do you believe that this means that The Flash with Ezra Miller will actually be happening? Riley, let's start with you.
I don't know how excited I am yet, because I don't really think The Flash lends itself to horror in a way. So maybe he's not going to go for a horror thing, or maybe his whole reason for wanting to do this is to do something outside of his wheelhouse at this point. Because I know he's talking about it being more of a human story, because we finally get to have a human story in a superhero movie, because we haven't had that in literally every superhero movie that's come out since Dark Knight, every superhero movie since the Spider-Man movies, I think, have been about the human side of the character. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this guy has got a good track record. I think people have been pretty excited about his stuff, so I think it could do really well. I don't know if the genre jump is what I'm excited for. 'Cause I like the Flash as a character, but the Flash for me is like a bright and uplifting kind of character, and not a dark character.
Just to address what you're talking about, his exact quote on this human aspect of it, he said, he was asked about if there was going to be more horror elements and more horror style to it. He said, an element of horror? I don't think so. What captivated me about The Flash is the human drama in it, the human feelings and emotions that play in the drama of it. It's going to be fun too. I can't promise that there will be any horror elements in it, really, but it's a beautiful human story.
All right, so that gives me a little more hope for it, because
you want the human, but you
like
think
the
other
Flash.
things have had the human as well.
The Flash. I'm not a big DC person in general, but I like the Flash, and I really loved the first season of the CW show, and some of the later on, it got a little bit too, it was when it first came on, it was the bright alternate to the Arrowverse, and then it became as dark as Arrow at times, and I'm like, no, this is not what the Flash is for. So I'm hoping this is like more like that early on point.
Spenny G, how you feeling?
Not great.
Oh, good. Oh, excellent.
Look,
now you know how I felt this morning.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Not in the same way, but you know, I want every movie to be good. I liked Ezra Miller's Flash in Justice League. I know a lot of people took a little bit of umbrage with it. That said, this project has all the signs of a gigantic catastrophe. It's lost directors, it's lost writers, they've thrown out all these scripts, they've just been shuffling and juggling. The whole universe where the Flash was born has collapsed upon itself. He's now spun off into his own solo movie where I guess they can't reference, Ben Affleck's Batman, Henry Cavill's Superman, like none of the people who he's been in contact with in his on-screen history. It sounds like a mess, and I have very low prospects for this working. That said, it was cool. I don't think horror when I think Flash. In fact, I think it's a weird fit. Probably they got him because he's shown an ability to make CGI movies that don't cost a lot of money and just deliver this project, just get it done so we can just move on. Not all the makings of a great movie. I don't care if you have a human story at the end of it. That should be a given when you're writing a movie about a human.
Dan?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a weird project in that, you know, the Flash is really a nominal appearance in Batman v Superman, but he's only been in one movie beyond a quick bit of popping out of a monitor. I enjoy Ezra Miller as an actor, but yeah, the further away we get from Justice League and the more they sort of close off the doors to the rest of the universe, the less I'm convinced that this movie is actually going to happen because he was... I don't know if the Flash was necessarily a breakout character from Justice League. I think people enjoyed him, but as far as this overwhelming thirst for we have to see him in his own movie, I don't know if that's there. And then we're now two years out from Justice League. Minimum for this movie, you would think we'd be 2 more years when it actually comes out. So that's now 4 years out from Justice League. I just don't know if, you know, a couple of cameos and then Justice League, with all the developmental problems that this movie has had, at what point does DC say, well, you know what, we're moving to more self-contained, we're doing Joker. Shazam was tied in nominally, but not directly tied in. At what point are they going to say, you know, with the Batman and everything else that's coming out, we're just going to sort of move on? Who even knows after Wonder Woman 2, or Wonder Woman 1984?
Yeah.
What the future holds for that character. You know, Aquaman obviously is going to go forward, but I don't know. I'm very curious. It just seems like Ezra Miller is maybe not even on the same page. He was writing his own script at one point,
With
apart
Grant
from the
Great sign.
Yeah. So I don't know. It seems very.
Hey, it worked out the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. So there's a couple things about this that I'm excited about. Number one, the fact that we dumped the Flashpoint idea, because I don't know what we're flashpointing from when we don't have a universe that we established. So it's very challenging to do. We saw it on the show. They struggled with Flashpoint as well, even though they were seasons deep. Essentially, if you don't have a strong base of characters, you can't really do an alternate timeline of those characters because you don't even know what those characters were doing in our timeline, in our universe. So that never made sense to me this early on. So I'm glad that we've ditched the Flashpoint idea. I'm also glad that Andy Muschietti is a very competent director. So whether or not the genre translates necessarily, at least we have somebody on board now who seemingly is going to stick on board and carry this project through, which means that fans can get excited finally, as opposed to, you know, Zemeckis might do it, which was the talk for a year, and I don't even know if that was ever. Zemeckis probably was sitting there laughing like, what? I'm not doing that.
Gonna run back in time.
Yeah, and just no idea on that. So I'm excited that we have a name to grasp onto, and it's somebody that I happen to like, who is competent. So that's a good thing. I'm not a huge fan of Ezra Miller's Barry Allen. I think that he is not as good of a fit as Grant Gustin, obviously coming from the TV world.
Yeah.
You feel that way?
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, I guess, like, kind of I'm okay with this movie happening, doing whatever it's going to do and being kind of a mess because I already feel like I have my Flash. Like, my live screen Flash is, I like the original series in the 90s and I like the series that's on now. So the movie can be whatever it's going to be and I might still see it, but I'm very okay with Grant Gustin's Flash and his world. So.
But do you guys think that there is a chance that this movie gets made, a Flash movie, say in 2022, with Andy Muschietti as the director and without Ezra Miller as the Flash?
Oh yeah, that's hugely possible.
Yeah.
Even in his quote talking about his next projects, where he says, "I'm doing Fantastic Beasts 3, then the Flash movie, then making more music with Sons of an Illustrious Father, the band I'm in, and I'm also making some music of my own." So
Well, he did mention the Flash.
he did mention the Flash, but it was like the sandwich of what I think he's really into, which is Fantastic Beasts, Augustus Dumbledore, whatever the F his name is. God damn it. And then he's
Making music.
He's 30 Seconds to Marsing. Yeah, I don't think that he's a young man. He's got a lot of fun stuff to do, and there have been 5 different directors. All these people have handed off the project, one to the next, different chairman of Warner Brothers. No one has ownership of this franchise anymore, and that makes it very easy for someone like Ezra Miller to just wander off in other projects.
Okay. What do you think, Dan? Is there a possibility we see this movie without Ezra Miller?
Possibly. But it's weird because even though they are, like I mentioned, moving away from the interconnected movies, they will be moving forward, I assume, with Aquaman and potentially with Wonder Woman. So that's where you're in a weird position of how do you explain the fact, like Batman, you can kind of do a soft reboot, which it seems like they're sort of doing.
Yeah.
But like at a certain point, if you're reusing some people but not others, I think it gets a little mixed up as far as like, okay, well, this the Flash, it's a different Flash. It's how many of the characters can you say like, okay, well, they exist in this universe as this, but they exist in that universe as this. So,
But I also think
yeah.
you can kind of do that without even making a big thing of it. Like, yeah, you could Flashpoint everything, or you could have Jason Momoa meet the new Batman, and they'll just do like Rhodes in Iron Man 2, like. It's me. I look different. Let's deal with it.
Or Mark Ruffalo in the Avengers, like the Hulk's a different guy than the audience saw the last time we saw a Hulk movie in this universe.
We're like, what? How does the Hulk look different?
I feel you guys, but that's one. Let's check in for a second because right now we are theoretically moving forward still with a Joker Harley movie, which would include Margot and Jared, with a Joker standalone movie, which takes place in the 80s, which obviously is not including either of them. Then we've also got the Birds of Prey movie, which we can touch upon in a second, which does have Harley, but does not have Joker in it. And then we've got a new Batman, Robert Pattinson, who is not the same Batman as Ben Affleck. Henry Cavill probably out also, but Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa still in. Unclear on Ray Fisher if Cyborg's ever coming back. Don't know if we're seeing him. Ezra Miller seems to be trying to write his own script to make sure he stays in the project, but also is compliment sandwiching it right with his music. I like the 30 Seconds to Mars reference.
Yeah.
Good thing we have so many of them in the DC. Way to go, guys.
quite a music festival they're building.
Then Joaquin coming out saying that he might do a second Joker movie if Todd Phillips wants him to. So that franchise might be moving forward also. This is not one actor, one phase one movie who is going to get swapped out. This is a entire...
It's a hot mess, Roxy. It's the term you're looking for.
I don't know if it's a hot mess as much as we are really playing in the multiverse here. So I don't know how they do move forward and who they decide to take with them. If Gal and Jason Momoa are definitely moving forward, then we recast is now Pattinson in that universe, and then we recast a Superman, but we do keep Ezra and Ray, or do we have to ditch everybody but Gal and Jason? I don't know the answer to any of this stuff.
Yeah, I think this is the...
I don't think DC knows the answer to this stuff. Sorry.
Right. No, it's the promise and the pitfall of their approach, which has been to be really let the creators kind of own these franchises. Like Wonder Woman is so the creation of Gal Gadot and I'm blanking on her name.
Patty Jenkins.
Patty Jenkins. Like they let her do what she wants with the character. They let Zack Snyder, for better or worse, do what he wanted to with the characters. And when you have all these individual, like strong-minded, very idiosyncratic directors shaping their own narratives for each DC hero, like they don't necessarily match up well. So that's just what happens when you let directors call the shots instead of a puppet
Feige.
master Kevin Feige behind all of it.
Yeah, I feel you guys. Let's talk a little bit about Birds of Prey, because we do have more movies coming out. It's not just Joker coming in October. Birds of Prey is coming in February, and we got some more promotional material that's been released, and there's a rumor that there's going to be a trailer coming out soon, which kind of fits timeline-wise. That would make sense because February is just around the corner. How crazy is that? Wow, we're not early on in the year anymore. No. Apparently, this movie will continue Harley's story, but is not a direct sequel to Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad 2 will be the direct sequel to Suicide Squad.
Isn't it just the Suicide Squad?
Yeah, now it's just the Suicide Squad.
It's like a sequel / reboot, sort of.
I think James Gunn even though said that it's not. Well, I don't know. It's who even knows?
Yeah, that it's not. And then we've got new casting, and then obviously with Will Smith not being there anymore, so that's interesting development as well. Yeah, Christina Hodson, she wrote the screenplay for the Harley movie for Birds of Prey. She said, obviously, yes, it's a character we have met before, but it's really its own story, and that's kind of how I approached it. I just tried to take myself off leash. I fell in love with this character, and then all of these other new characters, and I just created a brand new story that felt like its own thing, and that doesn't have to feel like it follows one or the other, aka to me, Spenny G, kind of what you were just talking about. I don't have a Feige telling me what to do, so there's not that much connective tissue. So like, I'm gonna do me until somebody else comes down and says, "Don't do you anymore." Which
That's great.
I think is what you have to do as a writer and as a filmmaker.
It's just high risk, high reward. Like you can get Shazams out of that, and you can get insert your least favorite DC movie here because I don't want to get yelled at.
Yeah.
Rhymes with Schman of Schneal.
I feel like that is
But Shazam
so.
wasn't a huge hit.
But I feel like this is so on par with, like, this actually feels like comic books to me, because every time a comic book gets a new writer, a lot of times, like, the story changes completely. Like, over time, we kind of throw out some of the changes that were made and kind of bring back, like, we reset it, we do this, we do that. The artist changes, so the look of the character changes. So this kind of actually feels like you don't need to know, like, and it's not like Suicide Squad left Harley with always unanswered questions that we had to follow up on, and we know who the character is and what she's doing, and so now we just have this story that happens to feature her. We don't need this, like, there doesn't need to be a continuing story from that movie.
Yeah, you can have Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, the Uncanny
Superior Spider-Man,
Spider-Man
Symbiote
2099, Spider-Man, What
Keep
If,
going.
Spider-Man
I'm into
Beyond,
it.
Yeah.
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, the what's the Lifeline? What's the one that's like now? It's like his life if he actually aged throughout the comics.
Yeah.
There's
I don't know the name.
video game verse Spider-Man.
So of all of these, though, because Dan, like you said, it's kind of hard to keep track of everything.
Someone at Sony just had an orgasm.
with Joker, Birds of
Holland.
Prey. You guys still want to talk about the orgasm at Sony? All right,
No, we're good.
let's stay on it. Joker, Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman, 1984, The Batman supposedly coming out, The Suicide Squad, Shazam 2 being on the horizon, Aquaman 2, which is in a couple more years, The Trench, that movie that James Wan announced also, possible
Aquaman movie?
green. Yes,
Is that where Aquaman is?
Yeah, it's a possible Aquaman spinoff. That's
Oh my
his.
God.
That's
Oh,
his
right, The
horror
Trench,
Aquaman,
yeah,
The Trench.
in the-
Yeah.
okay.
You thought I was making it up, but I was not. The possible Green Lantern buddy cop movie that we've mentioned, the Batgirl movie, which keeps going in and out of Joss Whedon type directors. All of those, Dan, is there one that you are particularly excited for, or not really?
My excitement now largely has shifted from properties to execution, just because we have lived we live in a golden age where almost every property has both delivered beyond my wildest expectations and disappointed me beyond words.
Yeah.
So for me, it's much less about like, oh, they're making a blank movie, and more about like, I'm very excited to see this movie, or I'm skeptical about this movie, but I hope that it delivers on its promise, because this is just the world of intellectual property that we live in now. It's less and less it's dependent on what the movie you're making is about, and which I'm actually kind of excited by, and more it's about like, but is it any good?
Right.
Or is it at least good in a way that, you know, and not every movie is going to be for everybody, but good in a way that will definitely please a lot of people, and even a movie, at the risk of bringing it up, even a movie like Aquaman, which I enjoyed many parts of. As a whole, it wasn't quite for me, but I acknowledge that there were a lot of people that enjoyed it thoroughly. I understand it, and I'm glad that they did. And I didn't hate the movie. It was just barely quite not for me, while I admired a lot of parts of it. I'm fine with those kinds of movies because that means that you're trying some different things, and maybe it's not for everybody. But it's
a big
more,
swing.
It's more of like the X-Men Origins Wolverines of the world. Just the real things are just like, well, how did this happen? Those are the things that have kind of given me pause of like, on paper that sounds great, but Wolverine origin story sounded amazing on paper.
Yeah.
But then the execution of it was like, ugh.
Yeah.
So I'm much more execution based now.
The opening credits of that movie felt like it should have been the movie.
Yeah, when they traveled through every war in history.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, move on from that.
Yeah.
How did he get his jacket?
Yeah.
Another quick thing on DC. Apparently, Dave Bautista endorsed a tweet suggesting that he played Clayface as the lead in the DC villain movie. Thoughts on that, Riley? Dave Bautista as a Clayface?
Yeah, I think that we're kind of at this point now. We're no longer dividing actors up between who can do DC movies or Marvel movies or whatever, because we're seeing lots of crossover people from all these different like studio franchises, like Michael B. Jordan jumping over from Fantastic Four to be in Black Panther, and also with James Gunn doing both Guardians and the Suicide Squad, it feels like we're kind of beyond this era where like people are like, it's like almost like this. It was like for a while, it was like a throwback to old Hollywood studio contracts where like you were always making Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer films and that's it. Now I'd be fine to see what he would do with it. I think he's shown that he has like he can play really fun character roles in the stuff he's done. So yeah, I'm happy. I mean, this actor wants a part in a movie. I'm thinking I'm support him in trying to get it.
Spenny, do you think him endorsing this tweet means that he has been in talks for this, or it's a desire?
Yes. No, I have inside scoops that he's going to play Clayface. He can run with that. All the outlets, sources say. My sources say. Sources say.
Oh, you know someone who knows somebody.
People are talking. People are talking that that Batista's Clayface. Exclusive. No, I think that it's interesting that you mentioned James Gunn and Batista are people who had pretty public falling outs, I guess, with Disney. So
what happened?
I don't, some stuff.
But then they have falling ins.
And then they've fallen back in love. Isn't that beautiful? So of course, Warner's smartly pounced when there was even a whiff of them being available. So
yeah, of course.
I would hesitate to call them the sloppy seconds, but I think that they are.
But you just did.
But I just did. So those are the ones I'm actually the most excited for. Is James Gunn's Suicide Squad, and I guess if he were Clayface, he would show up in the Batman soft reboot. So I'm psyched for that.
Yeah.
The problem with Clayface in a movie, though, is that the whole point of Clayface is he takes on other forms. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's cool to have this actor playing him when he's Clayface, but you also
chooses
need
the form of Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
I'm
okay to it.
We talked yesterday about the whole getting connected to to origins of villains and stuff, and how you can riff differently. So I think that he for the Clayface part, like the blah, I think he would actually be really good.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a fan of the origin that they gave in the animated series, where he's an actor who's kind of pursuing eternal youth, or he's disfigured and then is trying to maintain his appearance, and that's a fun origin of the character. But I think there could be some other interesting ways to go with it, and I can see Dave Bautista having some fun with that.
He's really good. Yeah, and I think that would be fun as well. Very curious what you guys think at home about all of this. Are you excited about the future of DC? Are you particularly excited for one of these movies? Are you slightly confused and concerned this whole time that you're going to get a virus that you'd never even heard of before the show started? Let us know in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. There's great stuff on Fandom.com. And Screen Junkie Show Summer Movie Review is coming out soon, so please like and share that when you get the notification. Dan, I have a suspicion that you have something to do with that.
Yeah, no, it's our box office recap where we reveal the winners of our top 10 contest that we did way back in the beginning of the summer, the very beginning of the summer, and it comes out, I believe, this weekend. And I'll without spoiling anything, I will say that it was very close.
Whoa!
Very close.
Did I win?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Did you play?
Well, you don't know that. I could have a pseudonym. And
I
it's
won.
Clayface.
The only way to win is not
Did
to
you
play.
come dressed as Grey Drake?
I did.
Then I can't tell you, because then I would be spoiling the results of the contest.
Wow, that would be cool for Halloween this year. I'm going to be Grey Drake. Let's talk about this next story that I've been dreading this entire time. But I am excited because this article was awesome, even though it's going to haunt me in my nightmares, from Fandom.com. Tom Regan wrote for all of us about how we're going to die, and it's going to happen very soon. soon, clearly. That's not exactly the case, but the real-world parasite from The Last of Us is more close to real life than definitely I understood before. Spenny, this is something that I'm afraid of, and you seem very calm about. There's a parasite that is eating bugs' brains and then giving them these big shooting things out of them, and it's a real life thing. Will you ever sleep again?
Yeah, no, I sleep like a baby. This was
What?
This is something that I think came to most people's attention during Planet Earth with Sir David Richard Attenborough. Richard David?
David Attenborough.
David Attenborough.
Richard Attenborough is John
Bodie
Amber's brother.
Bodie McBoatface.
David Attenborough is the narrator of Planet Earth.
Yes, the narrative Planet Earth. So, I think when his voice is describing it, it's less horrifying. Like, look as the ant searches ever upward to find a higher vantage point. But it's actually a fungus is eating its brain and telling it where to go. And this was the inspiration for one of the greatest video games made, starring not Ellen Page. There's a whole lawsuit about it, but it looks like her. Called The Last of Us, which was like a zombie game, but it's actually a fungus. This fungus that spiraled out of control and is controlling people's minds, like it actually does in the real world with bugs.
So
Freaking out.
It's a spore, and you breathe it in, and then
Who breathes it in, Dan?
The bugs right now.
Okay.
And then the bugs grows inside of them, and then makes the brains all go wonky. And then the cool / horrifying part for you, I was showing Roxy this clip from Planet Earth before the show started, and I wish I had waited. Is that it grows out of the once it grows out of your body, and so you have like
It's
a
in your
husk.
brain.
It's in your brain, and then
And it
like,
compels you to go as
comes out
high
of
as
you.
possible.
It's like a
to
quado.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we watched, it was like this, it's on the article, this is a link to a video that is like a slow-mo over 3 weeks of this thing.
Mushroom
it looks
thing,
like
yeah.
a mushroom fungi branch coming out of the brain of the insect.
Yeah.
That's telling it like beep boop, don't move.
No, do move. Go up high, and then it explodes,
but then-
and the spores shower down among the forest
But the
floor.
article says it's crazy because you know that somebody had it. You know the insect had it because they're still on the leaf. They bite the leaf and then they just are there forever. And then it's like you can do all the research. But we're concerned, and by we, I mostly mean me, that this could come to humans at some point. Riley, are you on Team Roxy or are you chill?
I'm not chill as much as like of all the like I spent a lot of times late on Netflix trying to find stuff to watch. So I know there's lots of ways the world's definitely going to end at some point in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So if we're going to have an apocalypse, I'd rather have the weird brain virus fungus apocalypse than like dying from something stupid like a solar flare or climate change or whatever. Like I think that like we as a society have spent so much time watching zombie movies that at least like we have an attempt to try to feel like we can solve it once it happens. And we're not going to stop it from happening at this point, right? Like we're all going to die. So let's just like have a thing that it's a little bit fun for us to like dodge until it happens.
Yeah.
Like, do you think you are trying to kill me like currently?
No, I want
in this room
I'm
at
gonna.
this table.
I'm gonna try to make Roxy throw up. I have. I've actually eaten cordyceps. You can get it. It's like a health food.
Wait.
Yeah, you know the big things the big stalks that stick out of the insect's brain. They actually harvest that and grind it up, and it's like in mushroom tea, and it's in like they'll make it into crackers and stuff
Wait,
like
are you
that.
making a joke right now
No,
or
no,
no?
no, I'm 100% not.
Why don't you get the virus, the bacteria, the thing?
It's good
the
for your
fungus.
immune system, actually. You know, like you go to like Creation Organic Juicery. You know,
Yes,
it's spelled
I
with a
do.
K. Yeah, you go. There's cordyceps crackers. They're a little fungusy.
You're telling
a
me-
little gamey. You know, taste a little bit like a damp rock, but they're really good.
Spencer,
for you.
you're telling me that the thing that Dan showed me in the video, in the article, of the thing growing out of the brain, you eat that.
Yeah, I'm patient zero. I want to go first.
Is he being serious or no?
No, I think he's. I'm pretty sure he's being
Yeah,
serious.
I'll get you back.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Under no circumstances.
Look at it. In fact, the first thing, if you Google it, is like health benefits of cordyceps.
I'm checking this out right
Yeah.
now.
Well, Riley, you did mention that there are a lot of different shows that tell us we're going to die in all different kinds of apocalypse, and video games and movies. The Last of Us clearly being one that's horrifying me right now. Of all of the ways that we could be in an apocalypse, if you guys could be in a TV, movie, or video game apocalypse, which would be the one that you would want to be in most? I cannot look at that. I cannot look at that right now, Riley.
6 benefits of cordyceps, all backed by science. Number 1, may cause zombies. That's weird. boost exercise
Does it really
performance.
say
Yeah, boost exercise before anti-aging.
Yep.
Exercise performance, potential anti-tumor effects.
No.
May help manage
Yeah.
type 2 diabetes.
I'm 45, Roxy. How
Possible
do you think
benefits
this
for heart
happens?
health.
You and Pharrell.
I should have my daddy eat this stuff. And may help fight inflammation. So
No,
there you
no,
go.
no. Dan,
okay.
Dan, apocalypse world that you want to be in.
Ooh, I mean, if I have to choose, I'm going to go with New Ice Age, just because there's no zombies. There's not like a 50-50 or worse chance that I'm just going to die immediately from some kind of a virus. I feel like in a New Ice Age, we could at least have a chance of burrowing out some form of life for ourselves. So,
But then you know what babies taste like.
well, but you know, I'm alive, so.
You got to do what you got to
The
do.
apocalypse. I don't know what to tell you, Riley.
And you like trains, so.
I do like trains.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? Spencer, which apocalypse place are you living?
I mean, if it's an option, I'll go like Stranded. You know, I'll go like I was on the space station when the Earth blew up, or like The Martian, like my trip back to Earth, because then I just don't have to deal with people. You know, like, there's no. I can deal with the isolation more than I can deal with like, oh, I'm in a bunker. Oh, we're all gonna stab each other. Like, no, that's not my
You just
jam.
want to go solo dolo.
Yeah, so
All right, Riley.
The most
Oh, I
Larry
go
David
full on.
answer,
I
right?
want to go full on mutated wasteland. Yeah, I look
Okay,
good. I look
cool.
good in cloaks. I like adventure. So I think that I think that I would do a really good job with the Thunderdome theme song. So yeah, I think that's what I wouldn't fight in the Thunderdome, but I could help run it.
Yeah.
Can I change my answer?
Yes, definitely.
Waterworld.
Waterworld.
Ah, yeah.
I changed my answer to Waterworld.
Sure. Okay.
I want Waterworld.
I dig that.
It's warmer.
Chill.
It's the opposite
Yeah.
problem, but similar.
A little more
Get
fun.
lots of cardio.
Yeah.
My swimming.
That's true.
Yeah. Paper. You use the paper. I'll give you the paper.
Yeah, sorry. So I've changed my name from New Ice Age to Waterworld.
Yeah.
If you guys had to have one item you could keep with you for the apocalypse, you got one item. What is it? Riley, I'm starting.
Filter.
Oh,
Sorry. That mine was easy. Urine filter.
so you can drink your own piss?
Yeah, it's
I mean,
clean
you need
water.
Yeah.
Where else are you
Sorry.
gonna get it?
I've mine was
Just thought about it.
Oh, that's a good question.
Okay.
I guess my glasses, because if I don't have my glasses,
I feel like that's
that
part of you,
Twilight
though.
Zone thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's
okay.
part of you.
I don't know what else. Yeah, water filter's a good one. I guess
It's not a water filter, it's a urine filter, let's be clear.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Come back to me.
Okay, Spenny.
Probably like a PDF survivalist manual, because like I'm so dead. I can't survive outside of Midtown Los Angeles.
Wait, but
Yeah.
you need a PDF, so you need like working electricity and for a printout.
Print out of like
Printed
how
out
to.
version.
Yeah, yeah. If we're playing that game, yeah, my iPhone, I guess, so I can Google stuff when I get into trouble.
I'm just picturing this is
some paper.
Spenny walking around during the apocalypse. Okay, so
I want a really
turn
resourceful
left
dog.
when you see a zombie. Okay, see that? Go
Okay.
left. What's yours?
Resourceful dog.
A resourceful dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
I like a good resourceful dog.
And I'm allergic, but I think I would deal with
You'll
it.
be fine.
Yeah.
That's
He would
totally
find
fine.
you some clarity.
I'd find a dog that had hair instead of fur, and we'd be fine. We'd be buddies.
Oh, a hypoallergenic dog.
Yeah, hypoallergenic post-apocalyptic.
Soft-coated
companion.
Wheaten Terrier.
Yeah.
A very smart Labradoodle.
Yeah.
They
There's a
handle the
mutant, so we
sheep.
can chat and hang out and talk.
Oh, a talking Labradoodle.
Yeah.
Labradoodle.
Yeah, if I could have my fantasy, why not just go all the way in for it?
I legitimately cannot think about this for 1 minute longer, so we have to move forward. Just have to. Here we go.
Wish you couldn't talk. Please, Riley. Life is pretty.
I feel like the disease has gotten to Spenny. We've lost him.
I joined an immunity. You guys are screwed.
But how do we know that this is really Spenny right now and that this is not the cordyceps?
Does he want to climb a tree?
He's like Carrie Elways. He's spent his life building up an immunity to iocane powder.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen when the cordyceps happens, and then he will be in the exact scenario you just described. He'll be the lone wasteland survivor.
He'll
Can't
be
wait.
Jeremy Irons in the War the Time Machine remake, where he's like the leader of the Morlocks. He's like locked in with the cordyceps
I like
attached to the
that.
back of his brain, controlling the rest of them.
Damn.
I do not like that. And what is wrong with you
that.
people? Maybe I like our fans better. Kelly S. with the fan question for Fan Thursday, which doesn't have the same ring as Fan Friday, but we'll take it. Says, if there was a special edition release of the Star Wars prequels, which you guys know I love,
Wow.
what crazy additional scenes should be added and what moments should be edited? Nothing should be edited. I wanted them to add a curling mustache to R2 so that he is then unrecognizable for the rest of the series, which is kind of brilliant. Okay, there's a lot of things that I know people think should be taken out, but instead let's start with things that people think should be added. Spencer, anything that you think should be added to the prequels?
I think just like any time Hayden Christensen is in a desert, in like Tatooine or on a desert planet, like he just gets sand in his eyes and like gets in, and he's just like
I hate it. I hate sand.
so that there's a real payoff that they've seeded his hatred of sand. Like maybe it gets in his eyes during a fight, gets in his mouth and his nose. He's always shaking sand off of him.
Wait, so
Kinda
your
like
big
this.
gripe with the prequels is that you don't buy that Anakin doesn't like sand?
he
You're like,
seemed
well,
perfect.
there's no payoff. That's just not an earned moment of not liking
born
sand.
in the sand. He's Bane of
Yeah,
the
but he was a
sand. He was
slave
born
in
in
sand
Survived
environments. Yeah, like I'm supporting the prequels in this case, which is rare, but like that's one of the few things that like it's a great monologue. I mean, yes, of course, but
Yeah.
but it's also he was a slave on a
It's
sandy
like a
planet.
fish complaining about water. Like
Yeah, if you were a slave fish, you might be like, there's a lot of salt in this water and it real sucks. Yeah.
I kind of dig this though. Like every 5 minutes, maybe him shaking it. And when it's wet, squand. No, Riley, anything you think should be added?
More Obi-Wan. I've long thought that the biggest problem with the prequels is that Obi-Wan should be the point of view character, and so I think if you had like footage that made Obi-Wan into way more of the protagonist of all the movies, I think that would serve it really well.
Well, at least you're in luck in seeing more Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Not in the
All
prequels,
excited.
but
Hello there.
Pretty cool
Yeah.
for Riley. Dan?
I think they should add back in the scene where Anakin speaks R2
oh yeah,
from
that's a
I
good
believe it was
deleted
the
scene.
opening scene of Revenge of the Sith,
Yeah.
where he's like, "No, Master." R2 said, "Beep, boop, 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 boop." But what he really meant was, just because why not?
Look it up. It's
At
good.
this point, why not? And
We can cut back and forth with Solo in the scene from Solo with Chewie and Solo down there where they're communicating with each other.
Yeah.
Love
Just
that.
see.
which I also thought was comedic.
I like that.
That was a nice word that you
it
just
wasn't my
put in there.
favorite.
Okay, and then the bigger question: what do you think? You can only take one thing out. Okay,
thing out.
What you can take one thing out. I know everybody's like, I just wish they didn't exist. That can be a character, a scene, a line, a situation. One thing you can remove from the prequels. I've got a bunch of blank faces, so I'm going to Riley first.
Okay, I think it's the scene where Yoda is like dunking on Obi-Wan because of the like missing planet in the archives. Like he's coming to him with like an actual serious issue, and he's like, and Yoda's just like, "Hey kids, look how dumb this guy is. It's like one of your teachers. Like look how dumb he is," and it's the weirdest moment. Like,
Well, he is dumb.
yeah,
No.
hey,
Spenny.
don't talk about
Guess
Obi-Wan. like
Dexter Jetster. As
Yeah.
much as I love him as a punchline, the fact that he goes to a Johnny Rockets in space for information and like has a pre-existing relationship with like the diner manager of his like favorite hamburger stand in Corellia is just so stupid. Like try again. Like send that one back, replace him with something else.
Okay, Dan.
I would cut Revenge of the Sith off after the helmet goes on Darth Vader and he makes his first breathing sound.
Sure.
That would be the end of the movie.
No.
So I would cut the no. I think
That was me reacting to your.
Yes, I think it would be so much more tragic than the no was if the last vision you see of Anakin Skywalker is that horrified face as that mask comes down and then you hear the breathing and that's the end.
What about the nurse robots going zwooba, zwooba, like when they're delivering the babies, and that's the weirdest moment in this like birth death
remember that.
scene.
I can only pick one, Riley.
Yeah, I said one.
I had to deploy it where I saw
Fair
I'm
enough.
surprised that none of you guys picked Jar Jar. Just because
that's not one thing.
removal.
That's like
yeah,
a
I said you
whole
can
arc.
remove a whole character.
Jar Jar's the key to all of this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He was,
yeah.
like it or
Allegedly.
not, he
Yeah.
was a very integral part of the.
Like, what are the
He
prequels?
literally is the reason why the Empire exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is the one that gave the Empire emergency powers or proposed.
Darth Jar Jar.
Yeah. So.
Jar Jar.
Yeah. I don't know if it works without Jar Jar. He's too integral to the story.
We cannot remove Jar Jar. You
like
heard
the-
it here on Screen
I like the
Junkies
idea that
Universe.
Sidious could not have figured out any other way to make it happen if Jar Jar hadn't been there. Like, thank God this guy was around.
I'm not mad at it.
Maybe we could just give him subtitles, like have him just blubble, and then that would probably make Jar Jar a little more.
I can't believe how much we have really freaked out and gone into the internet today. We talked about disgusting viruses, which is kind of our version of like pimple popping on on the show. If you guys have ever watched those
Dr. Pimple
videos for
Popper.
5 hours like I have.
Ugh.
We talked about the prequels, so being very divisive, and we talked about DC and how much they really, truly do have all of their ducks in a row.
And Spencer was mean to a dog.
Yeah, that's true.
That dog, there was a mercy for that dog in your scenario. That Labradoodles shouldn't exist in the first place.
What?
Wow.
Their science gone too far.
They're adorable.
You know what? You take your perfect breathing abilities and you just live with it, but I need some help sometimes.
That's your issue?
They're
Science
born
is
in a
gone-
lab. Aren't they like some hybrid, like...
No,
Spencer,
a poodle and a lab
eating,
bang. That's
you're
how they're
eating
born.
viruses.
Grown.
You're
Yeah, they
eating
don't-
a virus.
They're
Science
not
is
like it's
too
not
far
like Dolly
you.
the sheep.
They don't make them on Camino.
I think that has to be it for the show today. We will definitely be back tomorrow, though, for Fan Friday. But until then, Spencer, where can everybody keep up with you?
I'm right here. Check out the crazy virus article on fandom.com. It's really creepy.
Oh, thank you. Trying to give me more nightmares. Riley, where can everybody find you?
Hey, my D&D show, The Broken Pact, is coming back a week from Monday on twitch.com/D&D, and we are descending into Avernus for our new season, so check that out. It's going to be really cool.
Great. And Dan?
Here as always, and I think I can announce this. Pencil this in. Don't write it in on pen. But unless something happens, there will be a movie fight next week.
Ooh.
And we will be returning to, I guess I can breaking news. I can break this news here.
Breaking news.
Because we're doing fewer fights, because we're doing like more of a monthly schedule, we are going back to a 5-round format as far as like the main rounds, because we're going to be covering a lot more ground and it's easier to do questions. It's one of the reasons that we are doing them less frequently, was to make it
A bigger
get better
event.
fights in a bigger event. So when Movie Fights does return, which barring some setback will be next week, we'll be going back to the 5-round main rounds and then the speed round and everything. But yeah, just look for that. It's going to be a good time.
Damn. Do you know who's going to be fighting? You don't have to tell us who, but do you know?
Yes.
He knows. Tickle torture it out of him. Everybody go! Don't forget also Screen Junkie Show summer movie review coming soon. Although, spoiler, I already won it as Grey Drake, which you guys know. You can find me everywhere at Roxy Striar. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.